So good afternoon, children. Today we'll be doing another short story from your textbook, which is chapter number 6, Sita's Marriage, on page number 51. So this chapter is an extract from an epic, one of the most ancient epics in world literature, which is the Ramayana. The Ramayana was originally written by sage Valmiki about 2000 years ago. But this epic is so popular in among readers even now, and movies and TV serials have been made on this great epic of the Hindus. So the Ramayana tells us the story of a king, Dashrath, his 3 queens, and his 4 sons, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. So we see in Ramayana, we see how the children are born, the 4 princes are born. King Dashrath is the king of Ayodhya, and how Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan are born. We see their childhood, we see them growing up in this epic, and how these children grow up, they get training, they get education, they learn the art of warfare and everything. And after that, due to some reason, Ram, first they have their marriage, okay, Sita and Ram get married, and so do the other princes. Other 3 princes also get married to Sita's sister and to Sita's cousins. All of them get married, and after that they come back to Ayodhya with their wives, and there King Dashrath finally decides that he has become too old and he wants to hand over the kingdom to the eldest son, Prince Ram. But the queen Kaikeyi does not agree, and King Dashrath is forced to send Ram on an exile for 14 years. So Ram, Sita, and his devoted brother Lakshman, all 3 of them go to the forest for 3 years on exile. Okay, they are banned from returning to Ayodhya for 14 years. So how they spend their life, and there the real story of Ramayana starts, and we see the theme of good over evil when Sita, Ram's wife, is kidnapped by the demon king Ravan, and how he takes Sita along with him to Lanka, and we see the entry of Hanuman and his army, the army of Hanuman, and all these tiny details are mentioned, how they managed to reach Lanka, and how they managed to, ultimately Ram manages to defeat Ravan in a battle and kill him, and they all bring back Sita back to Ayodhya. They return to Ayodhya. And we know that when Ram returns to Ayodhya after an exile of 14 years, after spending 14 years in the forest, how he was given a grand welcome, and that day is still celebrated as Deepavali in our country. So come to the chapter. We'll start from the green introductory part. The Ramayana is one of the largest and most ancient epics. Epics means a long poem. So Ramayana was written in the form of a long poem. Underline epics and write down a long poem in world literature, and it is considered to be the Adi Kavya. Adi Kavya is a Sanskrit word which means first poem. Okay, the epic was originally written by sage or Rishi Valmiki. Rishi Valmiki had written this epic about 2000 years ago. The Ramayana tells us about the divine Prince Ram. Divine means God-like. Okay, divine means like God or relating to God. Like God or relating to God. Divine Prince Ram, who was exiled from his kingdom. Underline exiled. What does exile mean? Expelled. E-X-P-E-L-L-E-D. E-X-P-E-L-L-E-D. Expelled or banished. B-A-N-I-S-H-E-D. Expelled or banished from once. O-N-E apostrophe S. O-N-E apostrophe S. From one's native country. Native country means you are barred from entering your own country. Native country. I'll repeat the meaning once again. Expelled or barred from one's native country. And his battle during exile to rescue his wife Sita from Lanka's demon king Ravan. So I've already explained to you that Ramayana is basically about the victory of good over evil, the victory of Ram over Ravan, who had kidnapped Sita and taken her to Lanka. It depicts the duties of relationships, portraying ideal characters like the ideal father. Who was the ideal father here? Dashrath, King Dashrath. The ideal servant, Hanuman. The ideal servant was Hanuman. The ideal brother, Lakshman, and Bharat both. Bharat was also an ideal brother. He did not sit on the throne till Ram came back. He only put his slippers on the throne, and he never took over the throne. So ideal brothers can be both Lakshman and Bharat. And ideal wife could be is Sita. Sita was the ideal wife, and the ideal king, Ram. So Ram finally, when he returned from Ayodhya, he took over the throne of Ayodhya, and he is referred to as the ideal king here. And it also presents the teachings of ancient Hindu sages. Sage is someone who is wise, who is considered very wise and knowledgeable. A sage is someone who is considered to be wise and knowledgeable. So this story depicts, means shows or portrays how relationships were formed, what was the nature of the relationships, and how the characters of Ramayana present examples of an ideal father, an ideal son, ideal brother, ideal wife, an ideal king. So ideal means perfect example, and a perfect example of a good king, a perfect example of a good wife, a perfect example of a good brother. So ideal means perfect example. This story has been taken from Chakravarti Rajgopalachari's English translation of Ramayana. Please underline whose story is this, because it is Ramayana was written in Sanskrit. So who has translated this story which you are reading? This story, the extract which you are reading now, has been taken from the book English translation of Ramayana. The story of Ramayana had been translated into English by Rajgopalachari Chakravarti. Rajgopalachari, you must have heard about C. Rajgopalachari, who was a he was a patriot, he was a freedom fighter. He was very close to Mahatma Gandhi. So he was the one who has translated the Ramayana into English, and we are reading an extract from his book. So let us start with the story, which is only a part of Ramayana, which relates to how Sita and Ram got married. Janak, king of Mithila, was an ideal ruler. I told you ideal means perfect. He was a much revered friend of Dashrath, the king of Ayodhya. So revered means respected, honored. So Janak was the king of Mithila, and he was a friend of King Dashrath. So they had a very good friendship. They respected each other. Both of them were kings and they were friends. Janak was not only a brave king, but was as well versed in the Shastras and Vedas as any rishi or sage. So Janak was not only a very good king, but he was a very learned man. That is why it is written well versed. Well versed means, underline well versed and write very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. Knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. He was very knowledgeable in what? In the Shastras. Now Hindus have Shastras and Vedas. As part of the scriptures, they read the Shastras and the Vedas. So write down, underline Shastras and write down sacred scriptures. Sacred means holy, S-A-C-R-E-D. Sacred scriptures, S-C-R-I-P-T-U-R-E-S. Sacred scriptures. And Vedas, you know, Vedas are also Indian scriptures. There are 4 Vedas. Please underline Vedas and write down Indian scriptures. And what are the four Veds? The Rig Ved, the Sam Ved, the Yajur Ved, and the Atharva Ved. There are four Vedas you must have studied in history. So Janak was not only a very good king, but he was very knowledgeable about all the Indian scriptures. He knew the Vedas, he knew the Shastras. King Janak was once desirous of performing a yagya. Now, desirous means wanting. He was wanted, he wished. Okay, he was desirous means he wished to perform a yagya. A yagya. Now, underline this or mark this as important. What is a yagya? A yagya is a Vedic ritual which usually includes meditation, devotion, and sacrifice while reciting mantras or sacred verses in front of a sacred fire. Now, this is a very important question. Short question from this chapter. Please underline the keywords which you have to mug up this answer. There is no other way. Underline the keywords Vedic ritual. Ritual means a religious ceremony. Ritual, underline ritual and write down a religious ceremony. A religious ceremony which usually includes meditation. Meditation means sit down, focus, think. Okay, focus your mind and meditate. Contemplation. Okay, meditation means contemplation, thinking, focusing your mind. Contemplation. 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 Devotion and sacrifice while reciting means chanting. You know, you've seen when any puja is performed at home, any kind of Hindu ceremony takes place at home, and the priest arrives and he chants mantras. Okay. Now write down reciting means chanting, 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 and mantras means repetition, repetitive sound. Mantras means repetitive, Repetitive, repetitive sound of verses, repetitive sound of religious verses. You can write repetitive sound of religious verses. Verses, VERSES. Like you have stanzas in a poem, similarly you have verses in scriptures. Or sacred verses, underline the sacred means holy. In front of a sacred fire, again sacred fire means holy fire. So a fire is lit during a yagya. A priest is chanting mantras, reciting mantras, and a fire is lit in front of and some sacrifices are made into the fire, and people fold their hands and meditate. Okay, so this is a yagya. And this underline, again I'm repeating the keywords here. Please underline Vedic ritual, meditation, devotion, sacrifice. These words you have to mention to get full marks. Reciting mantras, underline reciting mantras, sacred verses, and sacred fire. So these words should be there when you are asked about what is the yagya. It's a very important answer. Please mark it. As part of the yagya, Janak decided to plow a chosen piece of land. So as part of the yagya, Janak decided that he was going to plow a piece of land. He had selected a piece of land, and he decided that he was going to plow that land. So it is something which he did out of choice as part of the yagya. As the field was being cleared and leveled, Janak saw among the shrubs a baby divinely beautiful. So as part of the yagya, there should be a comma. Please put a comma there, because someone was asking me just now that why is yagya Janak written. As part of the yagya, comma, Janak decided to plow a chosen piece of land. So as the field was being cleared, so the field which Janak had decided to plow, as part of his yagya, as part of the ritual, he was cleared, and leveled means flattened. It was being flattened for him to plow the land. So everything was cleared from that land and it was being leveled. Leveled means flattened. So there Janak saw among some bushes, shrubs means greenery, among the shrubs, smaller plants, he saw a baby lying in a casket, and the baby was divinely beautiful. Again, divinely beautiful means it was very, very beautiful. It was God-like. It looked like a goddess. King Janak was childless. Childless means he had no children, and accepted the infant means the newborn baby as the goddess Earth's gift to him. So King Janak had no children. So when he found this baby who was so beautiful lying among the shrubs, he accepted that this was a gift from the goddess Earth, which the goddess Earth had bestowed on him, and he took the child home. Taking the child in his arms, he went to his beloved wife and said, "Here is a treasure for us. I found this child on the Yag site, and we shall make it our own." So he went happily, he went back to his wife, and he told his wife that here is a treasure. Look, I have found a treasure. Treasure means here a valuable object. A valuable object. Here it is a literal meaning of treasure, but here the child was not an object. Remember, it was a very valuable gift. He valued it a lot, so it was a treasure for him. He said, "I have found this child on the Yagya site," means the place where he was performing the Yagya. I have found the child there. Underline site and write down a place where a particular event occurred. A place where a particular event occurred or is occurring. A place where a particular event occurred or is occurring. And it could also be a site of construction. We say this is a construction site, literal meaning. But here it means a place from where a particular event like the Yagya was taking place, and there from that site King Janak had brought this treasure home. And we will make it our own means that we will accept it as our own child. We will treat this treasure, this wealth that I have discovered, we will treat it as our own child. And she joyfully consented. So the queen was very happy also because she had no children, and she agreed. Consented means agreed. She very happily agreed to it. The beauty. Now this is important. Please place a bracket there and write down important, because here the beauty of Sita has been described in this paragraph. From here, the beauty of the goddess Earth, please understand also properly. And this is important because the beauty of Sita has been described. The beauty of the goddess Earth, mortal eyes cannot see in its fullness. This line means that mortal means those who die. Immortal means those who never die. So we human beings are mortal. We are mortal. We can die. We are capable of dying. We do not live forever. So this line means that the earth, goddess Earth here refers to the earth, our world. It is so beautiful that eyes belonging to human beings cannot see the beauty of the earth completely. Okay, immediately in one go, in one sight, people like us who are mortal, who will die one day, who do not live forever, we cannot see, we cannot fathom the beauty of the earth in one glance. In one glance, we cannot see the beauty of the entire earth. So here you can, fullness, you can write the meaning of fullness, completely. We cannot completely see, human beings like us cannot completely see the beauty of the earth in one glance. We are unable to see it, but we get glimpses of it as we gaze with grateful hearts on the emerald green or golden ripeness of springtide or autumn fields. Like now, the author is trying to say, but we get glimpses of it means only partial views. Human beings cannot see the beauty of the entire earth in one glance, but we get partial views, only glimpses of its beauty. And we gaze means we look at the earth. We look at the earth around us with grateful hearts. Grateful hearts, underline grateful hearts means with heart full of appreciation. When you see the rain, when you see the trees drenched, when you see the beautiful mountains, when you see the rivers, So all of us feel the beauty of the earth. We like every object of nature is so beautifully created, and therefore we gaze, we look at it. Human beings only look at parts of this beauty. And how do we look at it? With appreciation. We are so grateful that we have been bestowed with such a beautiful earth. So grateful hearts means hearts full of appreciation. Okay, we look at the earth, we look at its beauty with a lot of appreciation, with a lot of gratitude that we have been bestowed with all this beauty. On the emerald green, emerald is a stone which is green in color. So the emerald green or golden means yellow color. So these two things have been we are talking about what? Emerald green or golden ripeness of springtide. Now springtide you have studied in geography. It is a tide, write down, a tide after a new or full moon. A tide, T-I-D-E, a tide after a new or full moon. A tide after a new or full moon. So we all know that the emerald green color. Okay, so the emerald green color has been we are talking about the spring tide. We're talking about the tide which occurs after a new or full moon in the oceans. That has been compared to this emerald green color, refers to the color of the oceans during a spring tide. Emerald green refers to the color of the ocean during a spring tide. And golden ripeness refers to the autumn fields. Now autumn fields means during the autumn season, the fields are all yellow, the yellow crop. We can see the fields being, fields, when you see the fields during the autumn season, they will be completely yellow. The crops have ripened, they are ready to be harvested. So when you look at those autumn fields, which are golden yellow in color, how do you feel? You are awestruck, you are amazed. You stand and gaze at it, look at it, wonder, with amazement in your eyes. Or with awe means amazement. Amazement and adoration. Adoration means admiration, deep love. Adoration can also mean deep love on the glories of mountain. Glories means splendor, the splendor of the mountains. Now first we said that we can only have small glimpses of the beauty of the goddess earth, like the emerald green color of the ocean during the springtide, or the ripe yellow color of the fields during autumn. And now we are saying we also look at the mountains and valleys, rivers and ocean with a lot of awe, lot of admiration, lot of adoration. So when we look at these objects of nature, we are full of appreciation, we are full of gratitude, we are full of awe, we are full of deep love for these objects. Okay, so this is how the goddess earth has been described. In this paragraph, whatever we studied was a description of how beautiful goddess earth is. Now read the last line. This loveliness was Sita in its entirety. So now they have told us at the end of the paragraph that all this loveliness of the earth, the beauty of the oceans, valleys, mountains, fields, and this ripeness, all these colors of nature, all the beauty of nature was what Sita was. Okay, so Sita's beauty has been compared to all these things. This loveliness was Sita in its entirety, means sum total. The sum total or the entire, if you sum up the beauty of all these things together, you will know how beautiful Sita was. This is to describe, because Sita was a gift from the goddess earth. So they are comparing the beauty of Sita to the goddess earth, telling us that this is how beautiful Sita was. If you compare, take the beauty of all these objects of nature together, then you will realize how beautiful Sita was. This was the beauty of Sita. This is a very important paragraph where the description of Sita's beauty is given. We move on. This child of divine beauty was brought up by King Janak and his dear queen. Again, divine beauty means goddess-like beauty. This beautiful girl was brought up, means they were raising this child. The king and his dear queen were raised the child with a lot of love. When Sita reached the age of marriage, now Sita has grown up, she has reached the age where she can be married. Janak was sad that he would have to part with her. Part with her means separate from her. He was very unhappy that now Sita has to be married, and now he has to be separated from her. Though he tried hard, he was for long unable to choose a prince deserving of, worthy of Sita means deserving of Sita. He tried very hard, but he never found a prince who was worthy of Sita means deserving of Sita. He never found someone so good as being deserving to marry his daughter. Many kings came to Mithila seeking Sita's hand. Seeking means asking for Sita's hand in marriage. Seeking Sita's hand means asking for Sita's hand in marriage. But in Janak's view, none of them was good enough. But Janak did not find any of them suitable to marry Sita. He thought none of them were suitable for his daughter because she was so beautiful. She had all the good qualities, and Janak was a father, a very devoted father, a doting father, and he did not like any of the kings who came to Mithila asking for Sita's hand in marriage. He did not like any of them. The king anxiously thought over the matter and came to a decision. Anxiously, he was very worried. He was very worried, and he gave the matter a thought. He was deeply worried for his daughter that if I don't find a prince or king who can marry my daughter, what will I do? Then he finally came to a decision. What was the decision? Long ago, pleased with a yagya performed by Janak, Varun, the god of oceans. Now, who was Varun? A short answer can come. Please underline. Varun was the god of oceans. What did he do? He was very pleased with a yagya that Janak had performed, and he presented to him Rudra's bow and two quivers. You know what are quivers? Two bows with which you, in those days, in the olden days, we've seen Bard the Hunter also, we've read yesterday, they were using bows and arrows to fight, and they used to learn the art of archery. All the kings and princes were compulsorily trained in the art of archery. It was compulsory for the princes and the kings to learn the art of archery. And you know what is a bow, and quiver means a container for holding the arrows. So what pleased with Janak, Varun, who was the Lord God of the oceans, he presented him with a huge bow, Rudra's bow. That means Rudra's bow means it was a bow belonging to Rudra, who was again a god, and two quivers. That was an ancient heavenly bow. Again, heavenly means divine, coming from the heavens, which no ordinary man could even move. So it was such a huge bow that no ordinary person could move that bow. It required a lot of strength to move that bow, and no ordinary person would be able to move it. This was kept by him as an honored heirloom. Honored means respected. He respected it. He revered that gift. He kept it it was very precious to him. This gift was very precious to King Janak. So he kept it with a lot of honor, with a lot of respect, with a lot of value he attached to this gift. Heirloom. Again, heirloom, like we talked about ancestral, remember? So heirloom, write down the meaning of heirloom. A valuable object, a valuable object, a valuable object that has belonged to a family, for several generations, okay. So it means that it was an heirloom which he wanted to keep as an heirloom for several generations. So it was kept like that. Since only a very exceptional man could be considered worthy of Sita, Janak issued this proclamation. Exceptional man means better than average, superior. Underline, exceptional man means better than average or superior. No ordinary man. Okay, exceptional man means not an ordinary man. Only a very exceptional man with exceptional powers could manage to move that bow, and that is why Janak thought that this was the best way to get Sita married. So he made a proclamation. Proclamation means an announcement, a public announcement. He made an announcement publicly. Please mark this also, this proclamation also as important. This is very important. We can, a question is asked that what was the proclamation made by King Janak. So write down, let's read. Sita, my daughter, will be given in marriage to the prince who can lift, underline the keywords, lift, bend, and string the bow of Rudra, and to none other. If you can manage to learn this proclamation word for word, then you can quote it also. You will get full marks for quoting the exact words. If you can quote and put within inverted commas, if I ask you, what was the proclamation King Janak made? And if you can learn the entire 2-3 lines, if you can learn it by heart, then you can quote it also. And if you cannot learn it by heart, you can write it in your own words. But then the key words should be there, which is any prince can lift, bend, and string the bow of Rudra, and to none other. So this is entirely you have to learn. What is stringing the bow? String the bow, when you pick up a bow, you have to put a string on the bow before you can put an arrow and shoot. So that is stringing the bow. First of all, the person has to lift the bow. Then in order to put a string, you have to bend it slightly and then put the string. So only that person, the proclamation made by King Janak was that only a person who can lift and who could bend and who could string the bow of Rudra would get Sita's hand in marriage. Many princes who had heard of Sita's beauty went to Mithila only to return disappointed. None could fulfill the condition. So all the princes who went to Mithila, hearing this proclamation of King Janak, many princes and kings tried to go to Mithila and tried to lift Rudra's bow, but all of them were unsuccessful in doing so, and they returned to their kingdoms very disappointed, disheartened, because none of them had the strength. They were all ordinary men, men of ordinary. There was no exceptional quality about them, so they were unable to lift Rudra's bow, and therefore they could not fulfill the condition, and hence they could not get married to Sita. Now I'm going to share with you the story of Sita's birth. Ayushi ma'am, can you make me the host, please?